da ex-União Soviética. Quando começou a competição, os dois sabiam que os 5 eventos do primeiro... Jenner saltou 2 metros e 3 centímetros, forçando a Vilov a tentar. Jenner levou vantagem nos 400 metros e abriu uma vantagem considerável sobre seus dois rivais. Ele cruzou a linha de chegada vencendo com facilidade e fechou o dia na posição que esperava, em terceiro lugar, mas somente 35 pontos atrás do líder. Deu o troco quase que imediatamente com uma vitória no lançamento do disco. A pressão começou a se manifestar em Avilov quando Jenner passou à frente no salto com vara. No nono evento, o dardo, Jenner conseguiu colocar sua vitória fora de qualquer dúvida. Ele lançou o dardo a mais de 2 metros de vantagem sobre seus rivais e destruiu as esperanças de todos os demais. Agora ele tinha como objetivo o recorde olímpico. Incentivado por sua mulher, Christy, Jenner correu os 1.500 metros para chegar. Ele cruzou a linha de chegada em segundo lugar, atrás de Leonid Litvinenko, da ex-União Soviética. Naquela que foi uma das vitórias mais badaladas dos Jogos, Jenner conseguiu 5 vitórias e passou a ser o recordista mundial do decathlon.
We're talking about all this stuff. Yeah, let's take the damn ponytail out.
A symbolic moment after 65 years. In a sense, we start again. Are you a woman?
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman. People look at me differently. They see you as this macho male, but my heart and my soul and everything that I do in life, it is part of me. That female side is part of me. That's who I am. I was not genetically born that way. As of now, I have all the male parts and all that kind of stuff. So in a lot of ways, we're different, okay? But we still identify as female. And that's very hard for Bruce Jenner to say. Because why? I don't want to disappoint.
Bruce Jenner now, not only coming out as a transgendered woman, but a Christian and a Republican. Thanks for watching. Subscribe.
Mom, she thought I was going to admit that I was gay. When I told her that I had something to talk to her about, she, actually, when I told her I was transgendered, she looked at me and she went, "What? Transgendered?" She kind of thought of Rocky Horror Picture Show when I told her that.
I was actually on my way to my dance recital, your dance recital. Worst time to do it, I swear. We were in the car, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, do you know what transgender means?" And I've been doing research for about a year now before I decided to come out and, you know, really know what I'm getting myself into. And I said, "Well, I think that's what I am. I think I'm transgender." And she didn't say anything. She was just silent.
At first, she didn't believe me, but I think she actually looked into my eyes and she realized how hurt I was.
She's like, "Why would you want to live a life like this? I mean, it's hard." I said, "There's no other way, and you don't know." I said, "You know, I tried to kill myself 3 nights ago." And that was just a turning point, like, oh my God, this is real. I don't want to bury my dead child. I'd rather have you as a son than dead.
Hi, I'm doing this video documentation of my transition. I want her full support doing it.
I finally got my hair cut. Yes.
She said she'd let me get top surgery done my first day on team.
So some changes that I've noticed is my voice has dropped.
I've been on testosterone for about a month and a half now. You see it right in here, like my mustache. And I'm getting acne everywhere on my face. I got one right here on my lip. I've gotten taller. I got chest hair. I shaved. I just got out of the surgery. I have changed as a person emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything. You know, everything about me has changed, and I love it.
I was at a transgender equality meeting, and she walked in, and I had to pick my jaw up off the ground, and we just hit it off from there.
It's actually a lot more common thing that people think, that two transgenders dating. It was pretty unique that we actually were out and about it. Especially
We were young.
We were young together, transgender. Plus, we were in the middle of the very conservative area, and
A rare thing to see down there.
Very rare thing to see a transgendered period down in the Bible Belt, let alone the buckle itself.
No one knew what I was going through. I had like a unwanted superpower of being invisible, because you feel like I'd ask somebody something and they look at me and turn around like I didn't ask them anything.
The kids reacted how many wouldn't expect. They spat at me, they taunted me, they laughed at me, they pushed me, they shoved me. I had transitioned from my old self in the same school to Katie and managed to survive the very first day of my beginning semester. I dropped out.
I was bullied and they finally asked me to leave.
I started to think that why am I cursed to be like this, living day to day, hating myself. However, I realized that this wasn't a curse. This was a blessing. This was, it turned me to someone who was scared and someone who was lonely to someone who was strong and independent and beautiful. And it taught me to treat people right and not be afraid.
You have this new love for life. You want to make something of yourself because you struggled so hard to survive.
I got up my courage and I went to school the very first day of the second semester of my junior year. And it was the same way as it was the first day of the last semester. People taunted me and laughed at me and pointed at me, but I survived the first day, and then the second day, and then the third day, and eventually it just got easier. It just became natural after a while.
The experiences I went through made me into the guy I am today. And I think that's the best thing about this is I am the man I want to be.
You define yourself. I'm Katie. That's all it is.
How did you two meet? Let's start with that. How did you meet?
Well, we first met at a transgender equality group meeting for transgender youth, and I walked in and I knew who she was immediately because I've read about her a year before transitioning, and she's like a celebrity to me, and I was like, wow, she's so beautiful, Mom. You gotta see her. And then, 3 weeks later, I had a bad night at prom, got dumped on prom.
Really?
Yeah, women.
Yeah.
And, I went and I saw her there, and I had to pick my jaw off the ground and finally got the confidence to ask for her number, and we just hit it off from there. Next day, we're on a date.
Wow. So, what was that first date like? Was it like, wow, you've walked in my shoes, you know how I feel?
Oh yeah, definitely. We just sat and talked about our whole experiences, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we just basically said, hey, it would just be perfect if we just switched, we just switched parts and switched, stories, and it would be a lot more comfortable and a lot easier in our lives.
Can I ask, just in general terms, I mean, you're dating now, so are you intimate with each other?
For dramatic effect. That's a pretty common question because it's a curious question. People want to know, is there intimacy?
Because you haven't had the whole operation yourself, have you? And you wouldn't get it, or you don't want it?
If it was medically there, I would get it. But honestly, I don't want to lose sexual feeling, and that's a big chance when you get the surgery. Is they take a skin graft off your leg and your arm, and it's very, very invasive, and there's a highly much chance you're not going to feel a thing.
So you want to wait until surgery?
I want it until it's medically
come along.
higher.
Right. Yeah. I get that. So does that leave out a love life? Can I put it that way at this moment? Is it more about?
It's a little bit harder, it's no matching gear, and so there's not, the intimacy isn't really
it's not there.
It's not there, really.
Yeah.
But it's never about that.
Yeah, it's not
with
about
us.
that.
I mean, it's about the connection and the love that we have.
That's real intimacy.
trouble, walking over glass. Neighbors say we're trouble. Well, the time has passed. Peering from the mirror, no, that isn't me. A stranger getting nearer. Who can this person be? You wouldn't know me at all today. From the fading light I fly, I rise like a phoenix out of the ashes, seeking rather than vengeance, retribution. You were warned. Once I'm transformed, once I'm reborn, you know I will rise like a phoenix. But you're my flame. Go about your business, act as if you're free. No one could have witnessed what you did to me. 'Cause you wouldn't know me today. And you have got to see to believe. From the fading light I fly, rise like a phoenix out of the ashes, seeking rather than vengeance, retribution. You were warned. Once I'm transformed, once I'm reborn, I rise up to the sky. You threw me down, but I'm gonna fly. Rise like a phoenix out of the ashes, seeking rather than vengeance, retribution. You were warned. Once I'm transformed, once I'm reborn, you know I will rise like a phoenix. But you're mine.
It's all gonna be over one day, homo. It's all gonna be over. One day God's gonna put you in hell. Yeah, you, yeah, I'm judging you. You're not hard to judge. I'm judging you. Yes, I am.
There you go, yeah. Hi. You ask somebody how many diseases they have. I don't live in a trailer park, bitch.
God loves you.
Of
course he loves me. It's you we're concerned about.
Forgive him.
Disappointing that you're judging. I understand. Coming from a true Christian.
No, God's ashamed of you, scumbag. God's ashamed of you. What are you? Why don't you take off your shirt like a man? Why are you wearing a bra, huh, big man? Why are you wearing a bra, huh?
To judge people.
Big man? You're trying to be a man over here with a bra on. A training bra at that. A training bra at that. Are you still in training? Are you still? You make sure you get those things the right form, okay? Make sure you get them the right form, okay?
Thou shalt not bear witness to false witness against any God telling me that you can read that. You can read that.
Listen, Joe Dirt. Listen, Joe Dirt. Yeah, you look like Joe Dirt with that mullet, okay? You need to get right with God already. You don't know anything about Christianity. What is this, a lesbian Barbie or what? Huh? The lesbian Barbie? You sick animals. Oh, what are you married to, a dog? A Doberman? Or a German Shepherd? Oh, sure. Sure, he don't have you on a leash like he should. It's obvious he forgot his leash. You need a collar around your neck. You need a collar around your neck. You're a loudmouth hag, rebellious and stubborn. You're closer to a whore than a lady.
Fuck you!
No, don't swear at him.
We don't judge you, you don't judge us!
Don't swear at them. Feel sorry for them. I forgive you. I forgive you. God forgives you. God forgives your ignorance. So strike me dead. So strike me dead. You have the power of God. Strike me dead.
Yes, Jesus hates you. Yes, Jesus hates you. Oh, you wicked lesbians. God is disgusted with you. He's disgusted with you, Dirt. Come on, Dirt.
If you've been hurt by a Christian, I'm sorry. If you've been made to feel worthless, I'm sorry. If your heart burns inside from what somebody said, of the orientation of life that you've led, if you feel like your desire to be loved has no place, and your church and your friends have failed to embrace or identify you too as one who needs grace, I'm sorry. Some of you may be jaded by some Christian figure who didn't seek you in love but merely to cure, as if to objectify you and tell you to learn to go and live like a saint or else you'll just burn. You see, it's teachings like that which Christ didn't condone, but rather challenge those accusing to cast the first stone. Because if they're not teaching in love, then they're standing alone and trying to orchestrate themselves what only Christ can atone. Now, I love the church and its institution, and the way that God has so powerfully used them to reach our communities and out to the nations, but I'm also aware of our past abrasions. Please understand that we are just as depraved as the next sinner who God so lovingly saved, and accept our apology for the way we behaved and let us love on you the way Christ would convey. I wish I could stand here and say that our past is some kind of a mix-up and we could take back this hateful demeanor we display, but the fact is, there's still perversion out there, like Westboro Baptist. Know this. The true body of Christ knows that Westboro is corrupted. You tell me Fred Phelps never lied, cheated, or lusted. But he'll hold up his signs and he'll talk of God's hate. By misinterpreting Scripture, he helps formulate the plan of the enemy to come decimate the truth of God's love that the real church demonstrates. I hate it when I see Westboro convene, but I love it when the Patriot Guard intervenes. You see, I feel your pain too when they're picketing scene, having served myself as a U.S. Marine. You see, they disrespect those who died so we can be free, saying God laughs at their death, but what they don't see is that it was Westboro's sin that put Christ on the tree. Indeed, sacrifice seems more Christ-like to me. This image of a hateful, homophobic facade surely isn't my loving God. Now, I affirm the accuracy of God's revelation. I affirm inerrancy and divine inspiration. And the Scriptures are clear that same-sex relations are contrary to His intent for creation. But I also know that I have sinned too, and whether you're gay or straight, the gospel's still true, and He can restore a hurting, broken view into a new and beautiful design like you. I've been lost, I've lied, I've slandered, I've hurt. I've taken God's name and treated it like dirt. Lust, deceit, greed from wealth, all of these things I'm guilty of myself. I have sinned, but I've been redeemed. Let me tell you about Jesus and His love for you. Are you free from the sin that once held you condemned? Do you feel like your soul is unclean? because I know of a cross that has been blood-stained to ensure that your royalty is seen. I know of a hill that once bore naked a man who loved those who'd forsake him, enough to bear their sins and take them from condemnation to sanctification. You see, this man of love who, while nailed to a tree, had his children in mind, and he begged this one plea, that God the Father would show mercy, even on those of whom Christ's death were guilty. See, he pardoned his deity to wander as least, to live, love, and die, then be raised a high priest. Because of this image, he invites us to feast. He's a loving God, not a Westboro beast. That which the harlot wiped from Jesus' feet, she then worn her hair as a crown of defeat. A defeat from dichotomies of pure and impure, now vindicated by Christ because he loved her. Now I pray that my message begins to take place and you can know the joy of this restoration. This manifestation of Christ's affirmation was made for you as a new creation. He loves you. I love you. The church loves you.